Journeyman Chronicles.
All right, Journeyman Chronicles, we have made it to episode number 10. My wife and I just got back from spending some time at Ocean City, Maryland for our 5-year wedding anniversary. We kept it simple, kept it low key. We stayed at what? The Commander. Nobody was there.
No.
It was
Everything I always wanted.
super windy to the point where it was a little cold. But just a ghost town. Boardwalk was empty. Made it to a spot called Shenanigans. Got some beer, got some food. Had a good time, low key. And this episode of the Journeyman Chronicles is dedicated to the journey, to my wife and I. So she joins me in talking about a lot of what took place when we got back together and how we decided to continue our life together. The surprise wedding that we pulled off surprised everybody. So while we were there, we noticed a lot of signs in regards to the number 5. There was a huge sign on the boardwalk with the number 5 in reference to nothing above $5. So I was assuming it was some sort of like Five Below on the boardwalk. What was it before that? We saw something else with the number 5. Can you remember? There was something else. We had the starfish, the mural of starfish in our room.
5 points.
5 points. There was something else with the number 5.
There's a bunch.
We kept seeing that number. I thought it was pretty cool. Just went for the night. Left yesterday around 3:30. Came back today around 3:30. Like I said, low key. You got to do that. It was fun. I suggest you with your significant other go and have some quality time. And of course, when we come back, if you're like us, you're coming home to packages that are sitting at your front door from Amazon. And my wife had ordered a bunch of boots for everybody in the family, which was very nice, very loving.
Winter boots. They're just snow boots.
Right.
They're not like everyday boots.
No. Yeah, winter boots. Mm-hmm. Because we're always, I think Alexandra is the only one that ever really has official snow boots. Wow. We always just
Everybody else is just slapping around.
We're just
I'm the only
screwed.
one that's comfortable.
She's always got the nice kicks for the winter. And I think she just got tired of looking at us these past 4 years and said, this winter, I'm going to hook you guys up. So the kids got boots, all the kids. And mine are still not here, so we decided to find out what's going on. My wife ordered, through Amazon, ordered some Nautica boots. This was really rare because we typically tend to do this before we make a purchase. But
I did. It had good star rating.
But there's a lot of bad reviews. I'm not saying you didn't see it.
You're focusing on those.
So we're going, it's like a rabbit hole. You
above 4 stars, the boot rating.
You find out, it hasn't been shipped yet. Okay, you look it up. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, well, let me look at the reviews. There's a lot of bad reviews for this boot. Some of them are pretty hysterical, and if anybody, maybe, I don't know, maybe you guys don't do this, but my wife and I tend to just entertain ourselves by reading Amazon reviews because some of them are just fucking dumb.
We sound so lame.
Here's one that I'm not going to say the name of the person. Let's just call this person
Anonymous.
We'll just call this guy Marty, okay? Because I don't want to say the full name.
Okay.
Marty says he gives it a 1 out of 5 star. And look, I pay attention to these reviews. So I see a 1 star. I want to know why. The name of the review is, and I'm not lying, these boots are like a replica of real boots created by people who don't wear shoes. Yo, I'm gonna read it again because I'm trying to understand. It's like a movie. It's like he's pitching a movie to Universal Studios. This movie is about boots created by people who don't. These boots are like a replica of real boots created by people who don't wear shoes. And he goes on to say, this is from March 5th, 2020. The sole is hard plastic. The toe box is very compressed because of the thickness of the insulation. The insulation would be good in winter. However, the felt on the bottom of the shoe grabs hold of snow in a way I didn't think was possible. After a few steps in snow, I have had between 1 to 2 inches of snow and ice covering the bottom of the boot like a second sole. These may be the worst shoes I have ever bought. Even if I did not want to wear them in winter, the insulation is so thick that they would not work in any other season. So these shoes are not continuous through all 4 seasons, baby. And there's some good reviews, comfortable and warm, not for the snow. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because all the bad reviews are that they're not safe. And I think we should cancel this. I think we should cancel this order, babe.
Noted.
These snow boots are not made for the snow in quotes. After less than 10 minutes of use, these, in quotes, snow boots developed a thick and potentially deadly layer of hard-packed snow ice that rendered them completely useless. Seriously, it was all ankle roll city.
Ankle roll.
Also,
That's ridiculous.
they are stiff and overly large at the instep and right in the toe box. They are pretty warm, so they could be used for winter boots if only one could use them in the snow. Now, here's my thing.
You're making me look bad. Like I'm a bad.
No, babe. But no, there's a lot of good reviews. I'm just enjoying the humor of these bad ones. But here's the thing, like we look at reviews, and when we buy stuff online, we're looking at it thoroughly. But I have no idea what the fuck a toe box is or an instep.
Well, you should learn if you're a human that wears shoes.
But I'm saying, like,
This is how you can tell
These-
that you don't buy shoes for yourself and I purchase all your shoes.
I don't think it's that. I think a lot of people who do buy shoes for themselves, maybe they don't know what the fuck an instep is.
Well, you probably should.
You just buy, you like shoes, you buy it, you order it. A toe box? I'm assuming that's where your toes are. Like
Yes.
But a box, there are no shoes that are square at the toe.
Actually, there are a lot of them
I like all the shoes I've ever owned
around.
are round.
Because that's your style.
But can you imagine wearing like a Lego shaped? That doesn't make sense. A toe box, a box. Why not toe
To a front.
a toe bell or a toe front?
Toe bell?
Like a bell is curved.
That's stupid.
Well, I mean,
Toe
come
bell?
on.
That's stupid.
That's stupid. But
That
a toe
is
box,
stupid.
toe box is not.
No. Toe
Instep.
box is way
Instep
better
is that
than
here
toe
on
bell?
the side. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to cancel the Nautica. I don't know.
Okay, I'm canceling them.
Here's one from we'll call this person Eddie L.
Sounds like a real name.
Eddie L. This is from December 18th of 2019. 1 star. Awful product. Only using them now to step out in the yard to take the trash out. No walking done. How the fuck did you get it to the trash can
How'd you step out with
if you weren't walking in them? This is the worst feeling boot I've ever owned. Snow packs onto the bottom as you walk until you are actually lifted up another 2 or 3 inches in the air. Then you have to stop and kick the excess buildup of snow off before you can continue walking. Terrible terrible boots. I mean, look, I think
Eddie L. Did you step out in them
Eddie
or
L.
did you not?
Did you step out to take the trash out or did you not?
That's the question.
If
that
you didn't,
remains.
if no walking was done, why put them on, Eddie L?
What's happening? What occurred?
Fucking liars on Amazon.
Mm-mm-mm.
Here's a good one. This is a 5-star review from, I don't know. It's spelled like yeah, but with an L. So we'll say Leia. Leia.
Too much, babe.
5-star, true to size. I purchased these for my son to work in. Most boots that say they are waterproof are not. These are, so far, they've worked great. They fit as expected. Most duck boots are not warm, so he just wears thick socks with them. So maybe these duck boots are not supposed to be warm. I don't know. But I'm a little nervous.
You're supposed to keep your feet dry.
Exactly. But they're also a safety hazard, which is what a lot of people
I'm
are
just going
complaining.
to cancel them and you can keep wearing your sneakers or your FedEx.
Baby, I wasn't complaining. I appreciated it. We're just reading reviews like we always do.
I am legit going to cancel the boots, though.
Kept my feet dry, but soles are slippery, no grip. So anyway, there's that. And we tend to do this a lot, and we get a kick out of it.
We do. It is one of my favorite things that you do, actually. When you start reading these, it just always makes me laugh.
And like I said, I think if anybody's ordering something online, you got to look at the reviews. You got to know what you're getting into. A lot of people will tell you what's what. Base your decision off other people's experiences. Let somebody else's misfortune be your compass. You canceled the order.
I did. I will continue to look for a size 15 snow boot that has high reviews.
Well,
As if that's not difficult.
anyway, I'm not going to look at these reviews now. You just hurt my heart.
Did I ever tell you about the time that my dad was like, you know what they say about men that wear big shoes?
Yeah, big socks.
Yeah, it was so uncomfortable. I was like, this is the most uncomfortable moment of my life with my dad. Because I'm a daddy's girl. And I was like, don't ever do that.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Yeah, don't ever do that again, Dad.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Very awkward.
I don't know if I could joke around with my daughter like that.
You know what they say about men with big shoes?
Big socks, though.
They wear big socks. I was like, oof. Dodged the bullet.
So, getting ready to kick off our episode that we recorded. And we listened to it on the way to the beach. Of course, we're going to do some editing, but we're pretty happy with what we got for everybody here. Right? You're happy with this episode?
I love it.
I think we talked about some things that some people knew about, and some people probably didn't know the behind the scenes of our surprise wedding and how we got reconnected and stuff. And if anybody's really interested about my life and your life, then they'll find this episode interesting. You don't agree? What?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be great. I think it's fun. I think a lot of people don't know that we had a surprise wedding.
Fair enough.
So it's kind of cool. Kind of cool to talk about where we came from and how that special day was for us.
Well, let's get right into this episode then. Would you like to introduce it since you're here with me?
Sure.
Go ahead. You do it however you want.
Oof, that's a lot of pressure.
I would suggest you just speak up a little bit. Go ahead. Hold on. Go.
Episode 10 of the Journeyman Chronicles. How we got married. It's a surprise. Stay tuned. Stay continuous through all 4 seasons. Nailed it.
You telling your side of the story since it started with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let me do that. It
Ooh.
started.
That's a lot of pressure.
Oh, now you've got the pressure, and now it's a little different.
Well, where do you want me to start?
Well, no, let's just talk about. Our anniversary
Thought you were hot.
is
Fell in
on
love.
is on no. Our anniversary is on November 5th, which
Mhm.
is a couple days away.
Mm-hmm. Super significant date.
October 2015, Friday, October 30th, which was when you originally, and we'll go back and touch base and go into more detail, but October 30th of 2015
is a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So that was trick or treat night.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being at work that night,
Mm-hmm.
and you had texted me,
Mm-hmm.
but you originally had texted my old phone number the night before,
Right.
right? So October 29th.
It may have been even 2 nights. I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to go with the night
Probably
before.
the night before.
So October 30th in the morning, I wake up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just me in my apartment, and I am uploading the last album that I recorded. I'm uploading it to whatever platform online.
Oh, I didn't even realize it was that.
Yeah, because I was going to upload it on Trick or Treat night.
It's pretty cool. I feel like I'm missing out, or like I'm like not really with the program because I didn't know that, and this is a vital part of our life.
Well, yeah. So the last album I wrote, Everything Burns.
Yes, I love that album.
My intention was Halloween. I'll put that out.
It's actually my favorite album of yours.
Oh, the only really real album I ever recorded too.
I think it's
I
pretty
got
dope.
other mixtape stuff, but
Tells a really great story.
I'm at my desk and I'm uploading it, and my sister Veronica texts me, or she either texts or calls me. She probably called me because I can hear her voice now that I'm thinking back, and we're talking, just shooting the shit, but she was kind of like, hey, did anybody call you, or did you get a text? And I'm like, no. And she's like, she was being real like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like vague and playing around. But
Hearing right,
but
she was like, "Hey,
right, thinking I was.
Did you get a text?"
Thinking that I understood where she was coming from, and I didn't. I'm like, what are you talking about? And
You're probably like, get to it.
She's like, I heard somebody like somebody got a hold of you, and I'm like, who? What are you talking about? Like, get to it already. And she's like, Alexandra, and I'm like, what?
Okay. So, yes. So, but let's back it up. If we're gonna tell the story, then
I was gonna get to that. Yeah.
Let's tell the story for the fact that we had already dated. I don't know that we ever talked about this.
Yeah, I've talked about that in the last my last
100 episodes, 10 episodes.
I think it was like the ground.
By the way, it's
Ground Zero.
your 10th episode.
Yes, this is my 10th episode.
Super props to you. Very excited for you.
Made it to the double digits.
You did, and you have a very growing following in areas even outside of the U.S. So
very small, but they're there.
But they're there, and I'm very proud of you for it. So congratulations!
Shout out to everybody in Malaysia.
Kudos to you. Cheers.
I think it's Malaysia. Yeah, we'll salute to that.
There you go.
In Japan, y'all are cool. Canada's pretty popping.
See, you're out here again on the map. Thank you to all the supporters.
Okay, so now let me recap then real quick. In the last episode, we talked about how I got my apartment, and you and I had already been dating, but we stopped. You broke up with me because I wasn't ready.
Right, you weren't ready,
and you
needed that time for growth.
We had very little, that summer into the fall of 2014. We had very little interaction. We were kind of separating even more and more, and then. You were invited to my sister's wedding, which I was in, and I saw you then after months of not seeing you, and we had a good time. There was some flirting there, but you bounced, and that was the last time that I saw you in a year. Mm-hmm. So, you fast forward now, October of. My sister and Ronnie and David got married October of 2014. Mm-hmm. So now here we are, Halloween, October 2015.
Right. So you keep coming into my head, and I keep thinking about you for several, weeks, and the feeling keeps getting stronger and stronger. And then I if I remember correctly, I had a cold. I was sick.
Yeah, I remember
And
something like that.
or I
Yeah.
was getting a cold, and it was trick or treat, which historically I spend with my mom. Pre kids, I always spend it with my mom. When I was little, I found out as an adult that when I was little, my mom always put a little bit of wine in a coffee mug, so she didn't know. So I didn't know that she was drinking wine. So we have this long-standing joke, Madeline, my best friend, my mom, and me, that she would pour a little bit of wine trick or treat night and put it in her cup, and she would give out candy, and we would help her. So then, of course, then when we became adults, we did the same thing. So I'm at my mom's house. I had already been thinking about you. I'm having some wine in a coffee mug with my mom, and we're just hanging out and giving out candy to trick or treaters as they come in spurts. It was pretty chilly that night, so we were inside with the screen door closed and the door open. And I decide that I'm gonna text you. Actually, let me back it up. I was thinking about you, and I texted you the day before,
Right.
and you didn't respond.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm with my mom, and all that happens, and I still don't have a response from you, which to me feels completely unnatural because since we started dating, you were always very responsive. I don't know. I guess in my heart of hearts, I have to admit that maybe it was bothering me. I don't know. It makes me feel so vulnerable.
Oh.
Yes, I can be vulnerable. And I think I ended up texting your sister, and I was like talking to Ronnie, and I was like, so, random question. I texted your brother, and he didn't respond. Is he totally pissed off at me? Does he hate me? And she was like, oh. And I was like, what? She was like, about that. Don't tell him. But he told me that if you ever texted me, I was immediately to give you his new number. But her and I had already been talking prior to this. And I mentioned that I was thinking about texting you, and she never told me that you changed your number. So when I text her, is he totally pissed off at me? She's like, oof.
Right.
He's going to be so mad at me. This is just the way I think about everything in life. If it didn't happen naturally, it wasn't meant to be. So when she tells me that, I respond that. I'm like, it's all right. It's no big deal. Like, I just feel like if I texted him and the number was wrong, but I was already talking to you and you never told me, maybe it just wasn't even meant to be for us to talk or for me to text him or for us to get back together. And I don't want to interrupt his life. She's like, no, you don't understand. He's going to be so mad at me. And I'm like, okay, but that's kind of like a you and Felix issue, not like a me issue. I'm just going by like fate and life and how the world turns. And she's like, no, you can't do that. He's going to be so mad. So she sends me your number anyway. And I was like, okay, well, thanks. But like, I'm not going to text him. So her and I keep like chatting about whatever it is that we were chatting about that evening. And then I ended up deciding to text you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, hope you don't hate me.
That was when I got the text. I was at work, and I ran to the break room. I was like, oh shit, this is crazy, because I was already, and when Ronnie talked to me, and she was like, Alexandra, I was like, what do you mean? I was like, she's probably texting my old number. So she gives you my new number. So I was already like hoping that I was going to get a text, which I did. I got a text. But that's at the end of, so that's October. And the reason why we chose November 5th is because in November of 2015, which was a week later, we're looking at, okay, so it was November 6th.
So we keep talking throughout the week.
Right. We're texting back
It's just
and
like
forth.
is totally rekindled
Yeah. Yeah.
and
we're
natural.
Just, yeah. We're just.
We're filling each other in.
We're just. Yeah.
You were telling me about your apartment and how much growth you've had without being boastful.
I think it was.
I'm not being facetious.
It was no. I didn't. I'm not. You know, I don't think you are. I feel. I feel I was pretty guarded though. I was enjoying the conversation. I was just kind of like hoping something was going to happen, but obviously I wasn't going to be the first to be like, let's meet up. I didn't want to do that. And then I think we were talking one night. I left work and we're texting. We texted the whole drive home. We're texting. This is Friday night.
Probably like midnight, 1 a.m.
It was midnight at 1 a.m. We were still talking. Yeah, it was it was around 1 a.m. when you were like, our text conversations turned into you calling me then.
Okay. Yeah.
So we were then talking on the phone.
And I was like, I want to see you.
Yep. And and I was.
Look at me making moves.
Yeah, you made those moves. I was like
pouncing.
I was like, go ahead, come over here then.
The Alexandra that you thought was unreachable.
I was like,
all of a sudden I'm like, what's up?
Now I'm super magnetic. I'm like attracting you to me. Like, come on, girl, you have to come over here now, because I just got home from work.
And then
I was super nervous for like the next 15 minutes.
Right, because we only lived like 10, 15 minutes away from
10,
each other.
15 minutes.
The irony.
My
of
apartment
that.
was on Ruby Street in Lancaster City.
I lived in Betts Farm in Lancaster on the cusp of Millersville.
Yeah, in Gable
Park.
Gable Park. So I already knew where you lived, so I had a good idea of, when to expect you. And I'm just like, holy shit. This has been a year since I've seen you. A year and a half since we were like romantically involved. So everything that I had wanted up into that point, I was like, oh, this is really happening finally. Like, I'm about to see her on a different level, because I knew in my heart of heart we weren't like seeing each other to give each other daps. Like, how you been? You were texting me for a reason, and I was welcoming it for a reason.
So I drive to your apartment. It's crisp and chilly outside.
Well, we're describing the
well, it's not
describing the
I have a really
weather.
bad memory, and there isn't very many things that I remember, and that's not ever at a diss to anyone or any moment. I just often rely on the people that I most trust to fill me in on moments in my life. It's always a scary thing for me because I always worry I'm going to end up with dementia, but that's a whole other story for a
Well, we're
different
really
podcast.
skewing off on a
I know.
whole
I'm
different-
sorry. But I remember that's a detail that's important to me, because I remember that it was crisp and chilly.
Mm-hmm. Similar to what it is now.
Right. Very similar to what it is now. And I drove to your apartment, and I find prime parking on Ruby Street. Very unheard of.
Mm-hmm. I still remember where you parked. Yeah.
Was it not good parking?
Yeah.
For Ruby Street at 1 a.m. or whatever time it was.
Right.
And I walk up to your apartment, and I come into the vestibule, and I can immediately smell you, and I'm flooded with memories.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
You could smell me already.
Yeah.
My FedEx smell or my
No, like my handsome man smell.
Oh, yeah, your handsome FedEx smell. God bless you.
You're
I
a
don't know
mess.
what you were smelling.
No, it was like you showered and you put your cologne on like you always do.
Yeah.
And it smelled like you. And I'm in the hallway, and I knock on your door because I think you left the door unlocked for me in the vestibule,
No.
because there's like a double door,
Oh, yeah. I unlocked that door. Yeah. Yep.
right?
Yeah. Because we always lock it at night.
Right. It was like unlocked. So I come and I like knock on the door, and you open the door, and there you were. You invited me into your apartment.
Well, no, I opened the door and I kissed you.
No.
Yes, I did. I kissed you right there.
I don't
Yes,
think
I
you
did.
did.
Yes, I did. I opened the door,
And then
and you were standing there with the bottle of wine, and
course
you
I would
said hi, but you said it like hi,
And you said,
And I said nothing. I walked right up to you and I kissed you right there. Yep.
okay, but at what point then were you like, what's your intention? Where are you coming with
I
this?
didn't say that right then and there. I didn't say that at all, really.
Okay, so you kissed me right away.
I kissed you right away.
I mean, I remember the kiss.
How do you remember the crisp, chilly air, but not when I...
Because I just remember the kiss, and I remember the kiss being like,
I kissed you right there.
yup,
I was...
I'm exactly where I need to be.
I kissed you like I was waiting for that for 18 months,
Okay.
which is not long for
to me,
for other people,
it
but
felt
for
like...
me, it felt like forever. We walked into my apartment and we sat down on my couch and we opened the bottle of wine and we just started. We kind of like went right back into like how we
no
were.
time had passed.
Right, and we just talked and we talked and we talked for hours, and you had to work in the morning. And you were there until
I had to work.
until you had to go to work.
You
had to go
I ended
home
up going home
to
and
shower.
showering and
Yeah.
got dressed and went to work.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I remember walking in there and us exchanging a couple of words and it being a very purposeful kiss. Like, it wasn't like you caught me off guard. It wasn't like it was uninvited. It was like I was committed. I was all in.
Yeah, no, that's the kiss, absolutely. But that it took place. You were standing
In the
outside
doorway.
my door in the hallway. I walked out into the hallway.
So maybe
to
I
you.
just like transcended into the foyer.
I think the kiss just took you somewhere,
I think so too.
and you had an out of body experience.
I
That
did.
took you to the foyer.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently,
So anyway,
so
it
that
was
November,
just so impactful.
That
It
was
was
November
like
6th.
I was all in.
Yeah,
I was.
So was I.
I like came back into your life and I was all in. You
No,
were in
yeah.
a different headspace. I could tell that from talking to you.
The time that I needed.
Right. The
I
time
had-
that
I
I
had it.
said you needed, you had.
Right.
And you had such exponential growth during that time. And it was evident. It was evident in the way that you spoke. It was evident in the way you presented yourself. It was evident in what you had accomplished and where your head was at into your next moves. It was evident in what you were doing to support your children during that phase in your life and in their lives. It just was so evident. And it was that, yes, this is what I could see from you. And I just needed you to do it by yourself so that you knew that you could do it by yourself, so that no one could ever take from you that you nailed it, that you did it, that you worked hard, so that nobody could say, well, you're only here because you started dating someone and they helped you through it.
Sure.
So that nobody could say, well, you only did it because you're with Alexandra.
Right.
Because whether that's true or false, that could always be the downward default, which is not fair.
No, not fair at all.
And I needed you to have that. I needed you to have that growth. I needed your children to have that growth with you. It just needed to happen. And I knew that it needed to happen. So it was refreshing to me to come back and see that you did all of those things that I could already foresee you doing. I just needed to give you the space to do.
Yeah, and I remember being like excited, like to catch you up on my life, because I was like, look, you were right. All the things you said, I did it, and you're right. It was a very like a moment of commitment. It was like I knew that was it. That point there was like, this is not going to be like last time. Like I wasn't going to let that happen. But it was also very chill. It wasn't like we rushed. We needed to now. We have to catch up on a year and a half of not seeing each other. It was just.
It was just so natural.
And
I still love that apartment. Oh my God. It's still. I was actually just talking to Kirsten about this the other day. It's still one of my favorite spaces. If I could, and I've said this to you before, if I could purchase that apartment and that could be our space for whatever it is that we choose to use it for. Maybe we'll buy it and it'll be our space for the podcast.
who knows?
But I just
thinking.
love that space. It just was such a wholesome space
Yeah.
that was just so vast from everything that you had described to me that you had before.
Yeah.
So it felt so sacred, and I felt honored to be allowed into your sacred space. And so it became a sacred space for me.
Yeah, because before you, I hadn't let, besides the kids, besides my family and my kids, I never brought another woman in there, and I was a single man for a year and a half. And that entire time I was in that apartment, I never had any interest. So it was
But
very,
even
it
bigger
was very
than
sacred.
that,
It was very sacred because that's what I meant was usually when you invite people in like that, then the lines get blurred.
mm-hmm.
And then that sacred place it's sacred to you still, but there's like these like unnecessary memories that
Painted.
I'm just grateful that I never had those there
Mm-hmm.
in that apartment. Like the kids don't have that.
Right.
The kids tell me that they don't, they didn't dread going there. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't, fun sleeping on a sofa bed
Mm-hmm.
or an air mattress when they were little, but
It's funny because when I was talking to Kirsten about this just the other day, and I told her that it's like literally one of my favorite spaces, and I wish I could go back there and I wish we could own it. She actually became very sentimental and she was like, me too. Kaden and I loved it there. It was such a carefree space for us.
yeah,
It always felt so safe. It just was perfect. Which
yeah.
is also like just so ironic because it's the place where they probably had the least
Yeah.
materialistically.
Oh, absolutely. They didn't have a room.
I mean that's where Kirsten gave you the cabinet that you talked about in one of your earlier
Well,
episodes.
she didn't give me the cabinet. I took that from Soilos.
Oh, you took it from Soilos.
But
That's where she took the picture
she
of the
took-
cabinet
Yeah.
that became so significant to her.
She knows how important because that's the apartment where I used that cabinet
Right.
for them for everything.
That was like their be all end all where they did everything
yeah.
from homework to dinner to whatever else. And that's the picture that we have. So it's just kind of trippy that like even to her and from what she says apparently to Kaden, it's such a sacred space for them too.
But I think I'm pretty sure that like I told them that this is our place.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I held my end of that bargain. I think that's why that place is so special for them in a way, because it was like this. There was no other. We go back to the tainted memory reference, but it's also like there just wasn't any negative energy that's from the past,
Right.
which can happen.
Absolutely.
So that whole ground zero shit and that really, that's one place where I feel like I accomplished my goal. And then when bringing you into that space was very important to me. It was also very effortless for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always told myself that if there ever was a woman, it would be you. So when it happened, it was kind of like, this has got it. It's like hitting the lottery where it's like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, it's ridiculously like an exciting, numbing feeling. It's like euphoric.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly.
It's very
That's exactly what it was. It was very euphoric.
Yeah.
It was, I was so proud of you. It was like, I feel like, and this is just my perception of it, prior to this apartment, you never really had your own space.
No.
It was you living at your parents' house and you fighting your own feelings
Mm-hmm.
in those spaces, not through anyone's fault of their own.
Sure. Yeah.
But just, the normal day to day, then your parents going through a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
Whatever family things happen from day to day. And then you dating and moving out and whatever all of those things may have been, and then getting married and trying to do what you need to do to be a good man for Heather
Mm-hmm.
and for Kirsten, who was in vitro. And you never had that time, which
No.
also was like one of the reasons why I was like, you need this time. You never had that time alone. And so I feel like for me, that's what made that space all the more sacred, because you went from not having any of that to then being truly alone for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and being in Soilo's basement and fighting your own demons and finding your place of peace. And being there, it was the first time I could see you at peace with yourself, with your decisions, with where you had been and where you could see yourself going. And it was refreshing. It was the first time that I could see you as a grown man that was well put together and thinking things through and not fighting against the current anymore, but fighting with it to try to get to where you need to be. So we continued to date, and
Mm-hmm.
from dating, it became you being at my house more than you were at yours. and then you hit me with correct me if I'm wrong. You hit me with okay, look, I'm paying rent and I'm here way more than I am at my house. So we're either going to figure something out, or I really need to spend more time in my house, because
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep paying this rent
Yeah, it was
when we're always here.
Yeah, I didn't say anything along the lines of we need to figure this out, because I never wanted to force anything like that. But you're right. I was like, I need to start. Pretty much, I was saying that I'm paying my rent, and all joking aside, quite literally only spending 1 day a month in my apartment. Like, I think I'm at Bet's farm every day. And it's like, damn, I haven't been in my apartment in like 3 weeks. So I said, listen, I need to start spending some more time at my apartment, because I'm paying this rent.
And the restless old Alexandra of, you're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to take my independence, was like, okay, do it. See you there.
Yep. And I did that a couple times.
And you did that for like 3 days. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Maybe we should just move in together. You're like, nah, I don't know if you really mean that.
When you asked me that, I was like, holy shit.
You're like, you, Miss Independent, Miss I don't need nobody. And I was like, dude, don't rub it in. Just go with it.
And
Right. So I say that to you. You're like, okay, fine, let's move in together. It's a weekend and we're hanging out, and we decide to say, the heck with it. I'm telling my parents and my brother.
yeah.
Right. I'm like, so we have news. Felix and I decided to move in together. And my dad was like, big gulp. Even though, mind you, I'm legit 31, 32.
No, you're 30. You're 30, 31.
31.
You just turned 31.
I'm 31.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I'm 31.
Right. You're in your 30s, early 30s.
I've owned a house for 10 years.
Sure. Yeah. I still respected, what he was as a father. And
I smell what you're cooking, Dad, but especially, being divorced. He was
Yeah.
just trying to look out
He
for
was
me.
very protective. They all were, and rightfully so. I had to reassure
just
him
funny.
that my intentions were
What did he say to
pure.
you? What did he say to you?
Well,
He
I'm not
was
going to
like-
say.
he was like, "Let's talk."
I'm not going to say what he said entirely, because
No, not that, but when he was like, you and I need to talk.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm
That's
not
funny.
gonna. He said, come on. He said, come on. And we walked down the corridor at Bet's farm into the living room where anybody really could still hear us if they wanted to. And I reassured him that my intentions were pure. I was, I got it. I just also knew like I wasn't going anywhere. That's all 2016. 2016.
January? February?
Sure, it was January. No. It was.
You proposed in May.
I proposed in May, so it was like March. Yeah, so I proposed in May. I proposed May 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And now we start discussing wedding plans.
Oh, this is so exciting.
So
I love this part. I mean, I love all the parts of our
You're the
story.
one that came up with the idea of having a surprise wedding.
Right. So we were talking about, we were already engaged, and we started talking to our families about our wedding, and of course, like all families, everybody starts to have an opinion, and everybody starts with their own planning of how your wedding should be. So then we talked about having a small scale wedding, and we kind of somewhat started to plan that or think about that. And then, of course, also came in all the inserts. Well, we should probably think about inviting this person, and we should probably think about doing this.
Right.
And
It starts to get
spiraling,
it
like
starts to
most
get
weddings
hectic.
do. And
you start doing exactly what you say you were not going to do.
right. And so we were actually, I think, in Delaware at your mom's, and we were talking
I kinda
about
remember
things.
that, yeah.
And I was jokingly saying, well, maybe we'll just have a surprise wedding.
Right.
And the kids got mad. Kirsten got mad. And she was like, that's not fair. I don't want you guys to get married and us not be there.
Well, no, yeah. They would
I don't want it to be like you guys go away for a weekend and come back and you're like, surprise, I'm married.
She thought we would elope.
Right. And that's what you clarified for her. You were like, well, we would never elope. We want you guys to be part of it. And it just became this joke. And then when we came home, I was like, you know what, babe? What if we actually had a surprise wedding where we take the pressure off of everyone and you and I plan it, and we just plan a party and we invite them to a party and it becomes a wedding?
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, I actually kind of really like that idea.
Yeah.
So we started kind of really thinking about it, and we landed on having an engagement party, and it was going to be very small. We were going to have our invitations state that it was an engagement party.
Mm-hmm.
No gifts were required or needed, and there was no real dress code, but it was going to be at said country club, Media Heights Golf Club.
There was a dress code. It was
no,
semi-formal.
We didn't have a dress code on our invite.
No. We didn't.
It was you choose what you feel like you should wear to a golf club.
Okay.
Because the whole thing was we didn't want people to have to feel like they needed to spend extravagant money on attire to go to an evening wedding, which is exactly what people go through.
Sure.
And so we kind of talked about it and we planned it out. We started to meet with vendors, and everybody was just like, I've never done something like this. I'm all in. Every vendor that we talked to was just 100% in because they had never done anything like that.
Right. First time they ever did this.
So we went to Media Heights.
Which is a golf club in...
Right off of Willow Street
What are they
Pike.
called? Country club. They're called country clubs, right?
Yeah. Golf club.
Golf
private
club is
members,
like the
whatever.
actual...
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like country club sounds really fancy, and
That's what it was. It was a country club.
we're not fancy people. Just stop.
No. But that's what it was. It was a country club. Those places are called country clubs.
They have memberships.
Right. And that's what I mean. Country club and Media Heights is a country club in Willow Valley.
Off of Willow Street.
Off of Willow Street, yeah.
Right. So
Nice spot.
right. So we start to plan this event, and our thought process was We were going to set it off as an engagement party. It would turn into the wedding. We meet with vendors. Everybody's on board. We start to send invites out. Once we have our wedding announcement, or engagement announcement, better said, out, my cousin's husband, shout out to Angel Castillo, who has always worked on all of my gowns since I was a little girl because I was in his wedding. Angel approached me and was like, I'm retiring. I'm not going to make gowns anymore. But if you would allow me, I'll make your wedding gown. And I'm like, holy crap.
Right.
How often do you have the opportunity to have a custom made wedding gown? But I was also like, holy crap.
Right.
Angel is a last minute work to the wire kind of guy. How am I going to make it work that he actually has my gown done on time when he doesn't know that my wedding is my wedding?
Yeah, unbeknownst to him, he was making your wedding gown for your wedding. That he was not aware it was the wedding. He thought it was the engagement party.
Right. He thought the wedding was
There's
going
a
to be...
lot of different levels.
Yeah, there's a lot of levels to this. We're not usually big liars, but...
Everybody needs to know that nobody knew except for the vendors.
Like, Felix's kids didn't even know.
My kids, nobody knew.
My best friend didn't know.
Just the guy that, John, I can't remember his last name, the guy that married us.
I know, he was so great.
Great guy. Yes, we met at Starbucks. I remember that. Real cool cat.
My cousin who made the cakes, plugs to Sweet Cakes and Treats.
She
She
knew that
thought
she
it
was-
was an engagement
Right,
party. She found out the day of delivering
Right.
the wedding cake and
Right.
cupcakes.
Leo,
Literally, as she
Leo
was-
with the music,
Right.
same thing.
Leo Diaz in the mix.
Leo thought he was showing up to play music for an engagement party and walked in and we hit him with, guess what we're doing? And
That was it.
I think everybody kind of rolled with it really well.
They did.
It could have gone off the hinges, but it didn't. Like, because people tend to kind of like not panic, but they're not prepared for a wedding.
Right.
When you have music for a certain event and it becomes another event, that kind of throws you off your game a little bit.
And everybody rolled so well with the punches. So we have this plan. We send the invites out. It's for an engagement party. It's a very small group of people that we invite. Game day comes and we prep. Actually, it was kind of funny because before game day, moms to the wedding party is a huge staple. And our moms were like, wow, we're really dressing up. Not so much your mom, because your mom's she's just a diva. She's just ready to freaking rock.
It's true.
My mom is a little more humble and isn't just used to dressing up. Not that she's more humble than your mom. She's just not used to dressing up.
My mom's kind of humble, but I know what you mean. Yeah,
Your mom's very humble. She's just ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, she does. My mom's always been like that.
Like, I could call your mom right now and be like, Mama Dukes,
Yeah.
you try and go out, and she'd be like, I'll meet you halfway.
No. I don't think she. I don't think.
I think she
my
might.
mom-
She'd be like, "What's the dress
I
code?"
think it would depend on the night with my mom.
No, I think she might.
I don't know,
Might depend on the night with Harry, but with me, I think she'd be like, "Let's go."
but
Appreciate you giving my
that's
space.
only because it's you.
Anywho,
Like, special treatment.
so I am a little privileged when it comes to your mom. So my mom, it was like a funny story. I was just telling the story the other day that when I brought a dress to my mom to try on for the wedding, she literally, I'll never forget it. She was like, well, if this is what you want me to wear to the engagement party, I don't know what you want me to wear to a wedding. I'm going to be dressed like for a gala. It was so funny. And I was just like, oh, Mom,
You're like, just go with it, please.
just trying to hook you up. I'll never forget. It was so cool for me because I got to drive to our wedding with you.
Right.
And it was,
And we were stressing, but in a good way.
yeah.
It was like the anticipation.
Yes.
Nobody knew but us,
was
so
a
we were trying to keep it like
Right.
so cool.
It didn't feel like stress. It felt
It
like
was
adrenaline.
Yeah, it was like Yeah, like we
We
had
were
to make
trying to make sure the
everything was
kids
right.
looked good
Right.
without them realizing that it needed to be a big hoopla.
Right.
And we left and we had a moment together
Yep.
alone
Yeah.
where we could enjoy the weather. It was a beautiful sunny day.
Yep.
And we got to drive up that drive during this season and see the changing colors of the leaves
Mm-hmm. Very beautiful.
and open the windows enough to get the fresh air. It is so beautiful.
And try not to hit the deer that are running out in front of you.
Thanks for ruining the moment.
Sorry.
So we get there and our guests start to arrive. We are all hanging out. We're in this kind of back room ish where there's a bar and there's hors d'oeuvres and where there's light music and we're just having a party.
Yeah.
And then we had asked Ronnie to give a speech.
Yeah, I wrote something for her to read last minute, which she wasn't comfortable with because she's like me. She likes to be prepared. So I kind of knew I was putting it on the spot, but I knew that it would pay off. It would be worth it. Her reading it was important because
She was so significant to us.
Big part of the reason why we're together. So I had written out a small little brief story of our story. It was kind of like I wrote out how we met and a little bit about us, and at the very end of it,
Which she didn't know.
which she wasn't aware of,
So
right?
she got the writing earlier so that she wouldn't be 100% caught off guard.
Right. I gave her the copy of it beforehand, but I just didn't. I changed the end of it when I gave her, and she was really upset with me because she didn't understand why she needed to read what I was giving her then. She already had a copy of what I gave her before.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I made just a little couple changes, and she was getting flustered with that. But I knew that the change wasn't that drastic for her, and she just needed to trust me,
Right.
which is hard for when you have
Anxiety.
when you have anxiety. I have my
And you're
anxiety,
being put on the spot.
and when you put me on the spot, I don't like losing my stability.
Right.
So I knew what I was doing to my
her.
sister, but I also knew that I needed her to trust me because I wasn't going to put her in a position where she would feel lost. And it paid off because she read through it, and when she got to the end, where the end then said,
we're inviting you to join us at our wedding.
right, she was kind of
She took a pause.
took a
She was
pause.
reading it for what it was. She
Right.
wasn't just recitefully reading it because
Mhm.
she paused as soon as she started to read that.
Yeah,
And she became emotional.
Yep. And she was surprised. Everybody was surprised. And that's what we wanted. It was a really cool experience, to be honest. And, everybody that was helping us at the venue was watching along because they all knew what was coming.
From there it was a quick turn. I mean, from there we end up finding out that David was making inappropriate jokes as per usual to the guy that was about to marry us. He had no idea because he was there without his
Without his
traditional,
Well, he had his collar with him.
but he didn't have it on.
He didn't have it on, so David's making inappropriate jokes to who he thought was just a
friend of
random
ours.
friend of ours that we invited from somewhere. and then when we make the announcement,
John was
pulls
like,
out, oh fuck, I hope his name is John.
I hope so
We keep
too.
calling him John.
I'd be so upset if it's not.
Oh man, shit. But
Anyway,
anyway, he pulls out his collar and puts it in, and now David's face went from
I think he was with my brother.
Yeah.
And they were about both shitting their
he
pants.
just had his laughter changed to shock and sorrow real quick.
And at that point, I asked Maddie and Mai to come help me change.
Yes.
And I went and put on my gown. You went downstairs and changed into your suit for us to get married in.
We got married.
And my daddy was at the top of the stairs waiting for me. And I have an awesome picture. It's one of my favorite pictures of all time of my daddy receiving me when I came up those stairs in my gown.
Yep.
And I married you. And here we are.
Here we are.
5 years.
5 years. 5 years and 2 little girls.
5 years, a house,
Uh-huh.
car, 2
Yeah.
kids, a bachelor's degree, and a podcast.
The podcast is just starting, but a lot has happened in 5 years.
In the midst of that, we also have a child that graduated from high school to college
Yeah.
and becoming a nurse.
Yep.
A child graduating from high school to college, and a child graduating from elementary to high school, and is doing amazingly well for his first year of high school.
Yes.
So proud of him because it can be such a tumultuous year.
Yes. High school, or elementary, middle school, and high school, and now we have a college student. Yeah. It's
It's been a lot of moves in a short amount of time.
Yeah,
And
it's a short amount of time. That's what keeps getting me is like
sometimes I think I'm becoming stagnant, and then I have to take a quick recap.
I don't know if anybody else has that experience where they feel like they're not doing enough. And then you take a step back and you're like, oh, fuck, no. I think I'm just trying. I want everything that I wanted now, but it's in the little things. It's like, I want to be in a better place financially now. I want the house upgraded and fixed how I want it now. And it's only been 5 years, but it seems like man, I can't. We are. It's like we feel like we're being stagnant. It's like, no, we're fine.
But it's hard to think of it that way
We're fine.
when you're living in it and you're constantly making repairs because your wife just didn't want a new home. She wanted a house with character. So we bought a house from the 70s.
Yeah, we bought a house that was built in 1973 that only had one previous family owning it. It was owned by a man and a woman who then raised their children, one of which then bought the house and raised his family in it.
And now
And he sold it to us. And here we are. And luckily, so far, this year we haven't had much repairs.
knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Last year was just
One after another.
with the pandemic.
And
then
a
it was like-
pandemic.
it was like, well, we're just going to hit you with everything. We had leaks coming from upstairs from our master bedroom, leaking down into the bathroom down here and into the walls. And we had to get all that gutted into the laundry room. And then we had the refrigerator leak.
Floor's done twice.
Floor's done twice. We had a tree get knocked over from the wind and take the fence down. Had to get the fence put back up.
A lot of blah, 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 blah.
Garage doors. Yeah, it's just all a bunch of...
Moral of the story is shit happens. You always feel like it's not going to end when you're in it. And it always feels like it's insurmountable. But when you're with the right person,
Mm-hmm.
and like I always say, when it comes to marriage, you choose to love one another. The conscious choice, right? Every day isn't perfect. You have your battles. You have your moments of dislike. But at the end of the day, it's a choice. I choose to love you every single day of our marriage. I choose to honor you and our family and us. And even when it's not simple, and even when it's really hard, I choose you. And even when it's really hard for me to be loved, you choose me. Marriage is a choice. It's not always perfect. It has its ups and downs. It's a choice. To be faithful, to be loyal, to stay in it 100%. It's a choice. So, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, baby. It was well said. I was gonna say something not so cool like you just said. I was gonna say like we say at work, you gotta want it. You gotta want it. That's all. But the way you said it was better.
You do have to want it.
You have to want it. And I keep, looking around at the house, and I keep thinking back to the apartment, and I look around at all the changes that have made, and I believe people can relate to that, because everybody, one way or another, hopefully you're dealing with growth, and you can look around and see change. And I like to look back and remember the very beginning of it, like I get frustrated, and I get really, really, really in my own way with wishing I had more time to do this, that, and the third at home. And I got to take a step back and just remember that, but we have this home. Little things like the sunset. I love looking at the sunset from our backyard. It's cool. The cardinals that fly around that we have gotten used to these past 4.5 years. Little things like that. And I remember when I was in my apartment, I had windows in my living room, and I could just see the building directly next to me. I didn't have much of a view. So it's good to remember the beginning, as it grounds me, and it's humbling, but it's also like a perspective. Like, man, we did a lot in a short amount of time. And I feel like if anybody has done a lot in a short amount of time, then they should give themselves some time to appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's hard for me, and maybe that's hard for other people too, is allowing yourself to appreciate your accomplishments, the little things.
An attitude of gratitude.
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay to appreciate. Take time to appreciate your accomplishments, even the little things. It's okay. You're allowed. And I'm learning that still. That's something that's difficult for me, and it's almost like you get caught up in the day to day, and you realize, holy shit, let me take a step back. I'm exactly where I want to be. I'm exactly where I was hoping I would be. I'm just so caught up in it that I didn't even see it happen. Sometimes I'm still praying for it, and I'm like, but I'm there. Mm-hmm. That's where, like when I tell the kids, sometimes you can't tell the trees from the forest when you're too close, and you got to take a step back. But I'm grateful that I can do that in our relationship, because I know what it's like not to be able to do that. And I'm happy that our time together is continued. I don't want to say education, because that just sounds so boring, but I'm genuinely learning from my relationship with you.
Continuous through all 4 seasons.
Continuous through all 4 seasons. Look at that. You stole that.
You're welcome.
Damn, that was good.
We should probably just end it here. It's bad.
Damn, you were
continuous through all 4 seasons.
You were like, fucking end the damn podcast already. Just fucking end it.
That's not what I was saying.
You were like, I'm fucking crying. Just fuck. Shut up.
You can't challenge anything.
All right.
All right. Continuous through all 4 seasons. Let me wrap this up for you.
Oh, shit.
It's the Journeyman Chronicles. Stay continuous through all 4 seasons.
This is that's the part of the Lost Files part. This is where it gets. This is cut and scraps on that cutting room floor.
Totally nailed it. Soilo's about to hire me.
Yeah. Okay.
He's like literally drawing up a contract.
He's actually right now texting me like, "What the fuck? Did she just say? Did she just say?"